I, for one, am a little disappointed that we haven't seen more Penny in this volume. And what even makes me more disappointed is the fact that I have not seen any fan art of Penny and Android 16 from Dragon Ball Z. Seriously, look at the two. They could be like brother and sister. That'd be the cutest picture ever. Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake of the OneManBand is back again, and welcome back to yet another RWBY episodic review. Overlook. Review's better. Yeah, we're sticking with review. And this time we're taking a look at the newest episode in RWBY Volume 3, Episode 4, Lessons Learned. And let me tell you right now, this video is probably gonna be quite the doozy. I can already feel it being really long. I can feel it. My pancreas, maybe? Maybe it's my liver. It's one of those two. So let's start off with the very first thing that comes up, where it leaves off from the last episode. We got a doubles match between Emerald and Mercury and COCO and Yatsuhashi. And I was sure excited to see this match. I get to see two of these both mysterious duos. I get to see them duke it out and see how they fight. Now, I guess you could say that the possibility of COCO and Yatsuhashi winning was kinda slim due to the fact that Mercury and Emerald had pretty good plot armor. I mean, they were pretty much destined to go to the next round. I mean, that's just my way of thinking. So at the beginning of the round, we see that as the biomes are being chosen, and let it be known that there were 4 chosen for the doubles round. So it seems as the higher the tiers go, the more biome types are going to be implemented in the arena. I mean, we saw like a ruined city, gas fissures, like fissures coming out of the grounds, Old Faithful, stuff like that, a savanna, and a forest, once again with the forest. As the two teams are sitting down there waiting for the biomes to get ready, we see Yatsuhashi is just sitting there meditating, and I went crazy when I saw that, because I was just like, oh, he's meditating! He's becoming sound with himself. I don't know why I like that so much, but I think it just adds a little bit more to his character, that it once again shows that he has Eastern influence. And if you guys want to know what the influence exactly is, I suggest you go look up my Team Coffee breakdown video that I did. But we see that not only is Yatsuhashi and COCO being cheered on by their team, Velvet especially, you know, she's all like, yeah, come on, go team! But the crowd is cheering for them. They are a crowd favorite, it is shown. And it is definitely shown that COCO herself has fans. Fans that wear the dark sunglasses and the berets. So obviously, she has fans of some sort for some reason. Now, it could just be that she's popular like Team Sun. She has some type of fame associated with her. So I would like to see what exactly that fame is. Is it just that she's an incredible huntress, or is it that she actually does something with fashion as her inspiration would suggest? So once the battle starts, and once I see Emerald and Mercury doing what they did, I instantly knew how that they were going to turn this fight into their favor. They were gonna use stealth. And that is I completely looked over that when I saw that these two teams were going to be fighting in the previous episode. As we know, Yatsuhashi, he's basically a tank. He's this big giant guy, big old sword. He's meant to just deal big old types of damage and take lots of damage. And COCO, she's also a powerhouse. She has the big, amazing gun, and that gun packs a punch when she wallops people when it's in its purse form. So the only way that a team like Emerald and Mercury were going to win is if they used the environment in their favor and used stealth tactics, and that's exactly what they did. We see that Emerald and Mercury kind of slunk back into the savanna grass where they disappear, to which Coco just pretty much is just like, okay, enough of this bullcrap, rips out her minigun and gives the savannah a nice mowing. She mowed the lawn pretty good. And am I the only one who thought that that scene was very, very similar to the scene in Predator where they just totally mow down a giant part of the jungle? I mean, that's just what came to my mind. In fact, a lot of this battle was associated with Predator in my mind. In my thinking. But once Yatsuhashi and Coco see that they were indeed not in the grass, Mercury makes his move, coming in from the air somehow, and I got an idea about how that is, but I'll get to it later. But he comes down and he starts engaging in close quarters combat. That way Coco can't use her destructive minigun, and Yatsuhashi has to watch his strikes. Because he's so big and his weapon is so big that if he just goes willy-nilly, he can very much well hit Coco. And that almost happens a couple of times where Coco and Yatsuhashi almost hit each other. But something I did notice is that Yatsuhashi goes out of his way to move Coco, to take the blows, to block, and to attack. He's very much a protector, like the big brother type that I was thinking that he actually was. And upon seeing this, I do indeed believe that he looks not only at Velvet, but the rest of his team as sort of younger siblings or something along those lines, where he wants to protect them, much like Yang wants to protect RWBY. Not only is Mercury deadly in close quarters combat, but in ranged combat, he's able to... He's fast. He uses his legs. He's able to dodge Coco's bullets. And doing some breakdance moves, he creates a cyclone and that forms air pockets that form projectiles that he kicks or throws or whatever's at Coco and Yatsuhashi. Now, is this his semblance or is it a tribute to his weapon and dust? I'm not entirely sure. By the way the air current looked, it didn't look like it had any dust-infused nature in it. But then again, that idea of that being his semblance doesn't really fit either. So what exactly it is, I'm not sure. But whatever he does it well. And he creates a smoke screen to where Mercury and Emerald, they're able to separate these two. I mean, as long as they would have stayed together, they probably would have lasted a lot longer, and Coco and Yatsuhashi may have actually won. But since they were separated, they were divided, and then they were conquered. Mercury then goes up against Yatsuhashi all by himself. He is able to use his close quarters combat better against Yatsuhashi, and he uses the environment to his advantage, the geysers, and he leads Yatsuhashi into that biome, so because he knows that he can use it to his advantage in there. Now, here's one of the big things. Yatsuhashi actually gets a couple of good hits on Mercury. He just pretty much like hits him with his arm at some point, and then grabs him and throws him into the biome so that he can come in with a giant airstrike and hit him from above. Now here's the thing. Yatsuhashi's a big guy. He's about 7 feet tall. So 7 feet tall, we could probably average him out maybe... I mean, he's a lot of muscle, so maybe 220 pounds maybe of pure muscle. Plus, he has an aura, so that'll probably boost his strength up a little bit. We don't know if he uses dust in any way, but that's sort of it's gotta weigh a lot. So, he's bringing that sword down with all of his strength, using the gravity of the sword, and using his own strength. And what does Mercury do? He blocks it with his legs to the point where the pressure and the force is distributed, which cracks like the entire biome. Okay, so, am I the only one who calls bullshit on that? Am I the only one? Only one? Me? Any of you? Some of you down in the comments better be calling bullshit on that. You see, here's the thing that I just can't understand. With that much amount of force, something must have gave in Mercury. I mean, unless he has some form of special, just able to take pressure and distribute it out to everywhere. But I don't think that's the case. Upon seeing that, and upon seeing the other things that Mercury is able to do with his legs, it leads me to a theory. Now, we haven't seen Mercury's legs bare. We haven't. They've always been covered in pants or something along those lines. Is it possible that his legs are possibly metal? Like, sort of like Automail from Full Metal Alchemist. Is it possible that his legs are robotic or cybernetically enhanced in some way? Because that would make sense that he was able to, one, take all that pressure, deal out damage, be able to run at the speed of whatever so he can dodge COCO's bullets, and give him the ability to create a cyclone of air to form air pockets, which he can then kick towards his enemies. Now, it's either cybernetic enhancements, robot legs, or he's some sort of grasshopper faunus. Have at thee, down in the comments. I want to hear your stuff. I apologize if that got a little out of hand. I'm just still kind of a little bit pissed off that Mercury took out my boy. So while Yatsuhashi and Mercury are having their duel, Emerald has taken COCO into the forest, where she can use the, once again, biome to her advantage. COCO is able to fire off a few rounds at her and keep her at a distance, but then loses her. Now here's where a big thing comes in. COCO sees Yatsuhashi come up behind her and distracts her for a second, but at that same moment, she hears that Yatsuhashi has been taken out of the match. Now, it's obvious that she saw Yatsuhashi and she heard him. Now, Neo, we know that she worked with the Chaos Syndicate to get into the tournament. Could it possibly be that, due to her semblance being illusions, is what I believe, that she somehow snuck into the arena and messed with COCO's head? Like that? Oh, you see your teammate over there. You get distracted for a moment. Is it possible? Yes. But how did she sneak in? Is she a ninja? Or is this maybe a trick done by Emerald? To be honest, I think the whole Neo idea is much more believable. I mean, we have seen that she has done stuff like that in the past, and this may give us a new idea of what her semblance is actually capable of. Now, here's one big thing that I noticed during this fight. After COCO is distracted by the fake Yatsuhashi, and she sees the real Yatsuhashi get taken out, she is shaking. She's scared. She knows something is not right. And it's then Emerald gets the drop on her and takes her out. So once the round is done, we hear that the crowd isn't exactly pleased that COCO and Yatsuhashi were defeated. As I said before, they were the crowd favorite. Ubalek even says that they were the crowd favorite. So upon Mercury and Emerald's victory, people aren't exactly happy. And Velvet is indeed worried about her teammates and almost flabbergasted that they were defeated. Now it seems that she was more surprised that COCO was taken down. Instead, I mean, it may have just been that Yatsuhashi was taken down first and we just didn't see her reaction to that. Because what I believe that she's either romantically inclined to Yatsuhashi or Yatsuhashi is like a big brother to her. But due to the way that she seemed concerned for COCO, makes me believe that she has some sort of bond with COCO. Either they're very good friends or potential love. Girlfriends. I'm sorry, that took a while to get out of my mouth. I mean, I don't want to encourage the shippers too much. But I already have love, so we might as well move on! Now, I want to take this moment to just kind of talk about the team's fighting style. Now, I did talk about Mercury's way of fighting a lot during that past bout. So now I'll talk about sort of Emerald. Now Emerald, her weapons, not only are they revolver type long-range weapons, but they're also sickles, as we saw in Volume 2. And they have a chain function. Now that chain, it can go pretty freaking far. Where does all that chain come from? I mean, the weapon's only like this big. Where does that chain come from? Is there like a portal to the nether realm in there or something? So, anyway, we did see that she was able to grab COCO, very much like Scorpion grabs his opponents with the whole get over here, the rope dart thing, and she is able to pull her. Emerald has enough strength to pull an entire person and their weapon a pretty long way, so she's stronger than she looks. She's also able to use her weapons to move well in high canopy tree-like areas. So definitely height is an advantage to her. If anybody is going to be able to take her out, they're gonna have to get her on the ground, or at least get up in the trees with her to equal the playing field. We also see that she is very stealthy due to the fact that she's able to sneak up on COCO even when COCO is on high alert due to fear. She's able to sneak up behind her and take her out with pretty much one hit. Now, on the realm of COCO's way of fighting, we didn't see much. She used her purse a little bit, but not to a great extent. Her main thing in battle, her strength is range. Her strength is using that minigun to just destroy anything that gets in her way. That's where her strength lies. Not in melee combat, but in staying behind probably Fox and Yatsuhashi, just dealing out damage to whatever enemy is near her, and probably shouting out commands, because she is the team leader. Yatsuhashi, on the other hand, we see that he uses his sword a lot. Like, he is a swordsman, that is what he is. But he isn't afraid to use the rest of his body. We see that he uses his arm to hit Mercury, he grabs Mercury and throws him, but his main aspect is that sword. But to be honest, he wasn't really in the battle long enough for me to get really much out of it. If you guys see anything big during that battle that you think I missed, make sure to leave it in the comments below, along with the 5,000 other things that I've told you to leave in the comments below. It's gonna be a big comment day, isn't it? So with the end of that fight, we then move on to Weiss and Winter. And they're sitting there having tea and crumpets. Not crumpets, they're croissants. I made that note in my notes. They were croissants. So anyway, they're having tea and croissants and strawberries. At least they look like strawberries. I think in Beacon's Gardens, I think that is. And they're having a conversation that Winter is going to have to leave Beacon. To which I strongly yelled at my screen, "No! I don't want Winter to leave. She just got here. She's a very cool character, and I don't want her to leave too soon." I mean, I guess it is obvious that she's going to be coming back. Or just secretly, oh, I'm leaving, but not really. But the fact is that she's telling Weiss that she is leaving, and Weiss is saddened by this. She was like, "Oh, but you just got here, man. We were having a good time. All this stuff." It's here we learn that Winter was only there to help escort the latest shipment of weapons and troops to Vale from Atlas, due to the fact that a previous shipment was ambushed and stolen. This is where we learn how Roman Torchwick got a hand on those Paladin mech suits. Now, here we now know that Winter isn't in cahoots with him. He doesn't have any ties to the military or moles in the military. They were simply stolen. Now, how that robbery took place and went down, that's another question. But we do know that Torchwick isn't associated with Winter or Ironwood or anyone in the military. He just steals things, because he's very good at it. We also learn a little bit on daughter Schnee and daddy Schnee family squabbles along that line. We learn that Weiss's father wasn't exactly pleased when he heard that Weiss was going to go to Beacon instead of Atlas. It seems that the Schnee family has kind of always gone to Atlas. That's kind of like the family tradition, because Winter went to Atlas, but Weiss was like, nah, I passed. I'm gonna go Beacon. Beacon's cooler. They got croissants and strawberries and tea that you can eat in a garden. So there isn't exactly bad blood between Daddy Schnee and Weiss. There's just sort of, I don't want to say disappointment, but Weiss's rebellious nature coming in. That's what happened. Is she just she wanted to rebel a little bit against her old man. And we also learned some big things about semblances. Are you ready? Hold on to your butts. We learned that the Schnee semblance is glyphs. It's hereditary. It passes down through generation to generation. So we now indeed know that some, but not all, semblances are hereditary. Now, this will probably bring up questions like, well, some are hereditary. Doesn't that mean that Crow semblance could very much be like Yang semblance, like we were talking about in the previous one? To my answer, yes, the possibility now is definitely more sound, but I still don't believe that. Let's get back to this episode, shall we? So glyphs are the Schnee family's semblance, and Winter has had a lot more time to work with them than Weiss has. Now, we learn that there are many different types of glyphs. We already know this, but one of them is summoning. We saw this in the previous episode where Winter summoned those small birds and sent them at Crow. And it is here that we also learn that summoning is one of the most powerful glyphs that the Schnee family has. And Winter displays this by summoning a Beowulf to her side, but it's docile. It's under her control. Let me just say that I understood the Easter egg of the white Beowulf in this episode. For all you who don't know, the original make of the RWBY Grim Eclipse game, back when it was just a fan game, the very last enemy was a albino Beowulf, and it was impossible to beat. So everybody went crazy about it, and there was all this craze about the albino Beowulf, the albino Beowulf. So if that's what the reference is supposed to be, good job on Rooster Teeth for putting that in. And if it was just some fluke, then good on me for pointing it out. After the Beowulf scene, we then switch over to Crow, Ruby, and Yang, and we see that their family bonding is a little different than the Schnee sisters. They're sitting in their room playing video games and yelling at each other, just like, "You're going down, old man!" You know, fun stuff like that. Word of advice, don't call Crow old man. We see that Crow is definitely the better one at video games, beating both Ruby and Yang at points during this scene. And during their bouts in the video game realms of fighting, Crow recounts his previous mission to Ruby and Yang. He talks about how he was exploring a village in the swamps just outside of Mistral. Now, here we get to learn a little bit more geography, my favorite subject. We learn that Mistral has some swamps surrounding it, so we get to learn, some new biomes. Are we gonna see more of those or something? And we also see that villages can indeed operate outside of the kingdoms, and huntsmen go there looking for work and such. As he stated that he went into the inn to look for information, and he found, just sort of lowlifes and a few huntsmen that he saw that were there probably doing some pretty seedy jobs. And it's there that we learned that Crow was indeed defeated. And what defeated him? the size of the barmaid's miniskirt. So this pretty much confirms the fact that Crow is indeed a ladies' man. I wouldn't quite say a womanizer, because we haven't seen him just go around and do whatever to women. But we do see that he indeed respects the female body in its entirety. Now, one of the big things that stood out to me in this scene was Yang's reaction to Crow's statement of the barmaid's miniskirt. You know, she throws a corgi pillow at him and she's just kind of she's kind of pissed off at it. Now, is she pissed off due to the remark of the miniskirt, or pissed off that Crow was kind of building up this grand story to just kind of drop it like that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I can't differentiate which one is the true one. Maybe a female in the audience, maybe a girl in the audience can discern, you know, since you're a girl. I mean, I don't want to sound sexist or anything, but maybe you can help us out? RWBY then finally gets around to ask the question, what are you doing here? Now, if Crow was my uncle, that'd be the first question I would ask him, but this is RWBY, so I'll give her a little layaway. But RWBY asks Crow, you know, what's he doing here? Tai Yang, RWBY's dad, said that he was off on a mission for ever. To which Crow replies that since he is a professional huntsman, that he gets stuff done as quickly as possible. Now, by the way things were said, it almost makes me think that there's some bad blood between Tai Yang and Crow. By the way, RWBY said that Tai Yang said that Crow was out on a mission, you know, for ever. He was gone for good. And the way that Crow retorts by saying that he is a professional huntsman, as a jab at Tai Yang, since Tai Yang, we know, is a teacher at Signal Academy. Does this mean there's some bad blood between these two former friends? Or was it just sort of, you know, just funny family squabbling at each other? I still want to believe that Crow and Tai Yang have a good relationship, so I'm gonna give this scene the benefit of the doubt and say that it was just a fluke and just friendly family squabbling. But another idea is that maybe he was referring as a professional huntsman as opposed to RWBY and Yang, who are still both in training. Because that would explain why Yang then goes, oh well, we saved Vale once, you know, we stopped a Grim invasion, did all that stuff. Then Crow retorts, oh yeah, you tried to stop a train that created a breach that the Grim came out of. Yeah, good freaking job.
But they don't give out medals for almost.
They do, and they're called silver.
He goes as far as saying that they're acting like huntsmen, but not thinking like them. They're still not in the same mindset as Uncle Crow is. They're not in the right mindset to be true huntsmen. I don't think that the young team RWBY, they don't really think things through to the fullest. They kind of just go with the flow and to see just what's in front of them. An example, Yang says that since Torchwick was taken into custody, violence has cut down. To which Crow replies, violence hasn't died down, it's gone completely. Nothing has happened since that incident. Now, he then sees through this ruse and knows that someone else is behind pulling the strings. This obviously means that he knows that Adam or Cinder is out there, because we know that Adam is in charge of the White Fang, but Cinder is still in charge of the whole operation. So Crow definitely has the huntsman hindsight to see past what is just in front of him. He looks beyond what he sees and sees what is truly going on in the broad picture. And that's a skill that RWBY and Yang are going to have to learn to truly become huntsmen. We also get to learn a little bit about Crow's team. It is confirmed, Team Stark. That is what it was called. This means that Summer was in fact the leader of the team, just like RWBY was. Well, that makes sense due to the fact that in episode 1, RWBY was like mother like daughter. So I guess it makes sense. We hear that it was in this team where Crow met their parents. And this means that obviously Crow and Tai Yang weren't best buddies in the past and stuff like that. But he doesn't mention Raven. He even goes as far as covering up Raven's face when he shows the picture to the sisters. You see, there'll be a picture up here that he shows it to them, but then he puts his thumb over Raven's face. Now, Yang is sort of transfixed by her mother's, her mother being on there, but she has met her mother. We saw that at the end of Volume 2. But why? Why does Crow cover up Raven's face purposefully? He didn't do it on accident. No. He did it on purpose. Did Raven do something in the past to cause Crow to disown her in some way? To make her pretty much dead to him? Now, it could just be that she ran out after Yang was born, and that enough could have just set him off. But it makes you wonder why. Why does he feel alienated by Raven? Why did he feel the urge to cover up her face? Was it to protect Yang in some way? I don't think so, because obviously the family would have had pictures of Raven in the past. So she would have been able to know what her mother looks like. So the only logical explanation is that Crow and Raven have some history in the past, which caused Crow to practically disown Raven. Uncle Crow then has to leave his two nieces. He has to go see some people about some things, and as he leaves, there's a nice little note there. A nice send-off that he gives to the girls. He ends his farewell speech with, "Never stop moving forward." Now, this is a callback to Monty. Monty said, "Never stop moving forward. Keep moving forward." That was a callback to Monty, and I love it that they put that in the series said by Uncle Crow. Amazing. I love that. I hope that there are more things like that in the future. And now that we're wrapping up the episode, we go back to Winter and Weiss. Weiss is training to get her summoning glyph down and is just not getting it. She can't do it. She denies. She can't do it. She can't. And she doesn't want to try. During this training session, we see that Winter goes as far as batting her on the head, saying, don't call yourself stupid. Now, due to how Winter acts in this episode and the previous episode, Winter is very much a believer in the phrase, you have to be cruel to be kind. You have to have constructive criticism for your younger siblings. Sometimes the only way to get to your younger siblings is to break them down a little, just to build them back up. I think that this is a fantastic trait for Winter to have. It shows that Winter isn't just a by-the-books military person that was kind of shown off in the previous episode. It shows that she's a human. She cares for her younger sister, and she wants her younger sister to succeed in everything that she does. As a side note, when we cut back to them, we see a caterpillar inching along. There's another animal that isn't a Grimm that exists on the world of Remnant. Now, one of the big things about this summoning glyph is what it exactly does. Winter tells Weiss that she has to remember the foes that she has slain, and tells her to bring them back so that she may help her. So this summoning glyph that creates avatars of Grimm is pretty much necromancy, if you think about it. The way that it's worded makes me think that Weiss is thinking about the foes that she defeated in the past, which fell to her blade, and she's bringing them back from the dead, or whatever form of existence awaits the Grimm once they die, because as we know, Grimm, when they die, they kind of evaporate into nothingness, so there's that. But anyway, these Grimm come back from the dead, and then are used as pawns to fight. She then has control over them. They fight with her and for her. But alas, Weiss isn't able to create the glyph, and she doubts herself. To which she gets a stern talking to from Winter, telling her, you know, why do you think you can't do this? You definitely can. Winter even goes as far as bringing their father into the mix, which sets Weiss off. And it's here that we learn what Winter says, that emotions conjure up power. Emotions are powerful. But Weiss cannot be allowed to be consumed by them. Being consumed by emotions, that is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. But yes, indeed, emotions are powerful. And I do believe that the concept of using emotions but not being overpowered by them is going to come in later in the series. And with that, the episode pretty much ends with Winter telling Weiss that she can pretty much either keep living in her father's shadow, or she can finally go out and do what she wants to do. To which Weiss promptly chooses that she wants to live how she wants to live, detached from her father, pretty much controlling her life. All in all, this episode was great. Not only did we have a really awesome fight at the beginning, but we also had character development. And, you know, we get to learn more about the characters, their backstories, and how they think, and how they act in the second part. Mix all that together with 2 new freaking songs that we know are gonna be on the album. Rock song that was played during the battle, and the new rendition of Mirror Mirror. I cannot wait to break down those songs when they come out. Alrighty, you guys, this is going to end this episodic review. I hope you guys enjoyed, and be sure to leave all comments, questions, theories, thoughts down below in the comments so that I can read them, analyze them, and then we'll have the follow-up episode where I read comments, answer them. That's going to be coming out later this week, so we have that to look forward to. Be sure to check out some other RWBY videos that I've done. I do a lot of them, and I'll see you guys next time I'm out there in YouTube land. Be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward, like and favorite if you've enjoyed, subscribe of course if you feel inclined to, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah!